It is finally here after months and months and months of waiting, and a couple weeks after we finally got ray tracing, we now have deep learning super sampling in a video game for real this time, not just in some sort of like benchmark, but in the real game, and now we get to test it. So this RTX 2080 Ti can actually use its full potential. So the plan of this video is I'm gonna walk you through exactly what DLSS looks like, how it affects performance. We're gonna do it live, show you, and see if we can find any difference in visuals as well as performance, and make sure that you know, the RTX is actually finally living up to its name. It just works. That's what we're looking for here, is finally for NVIDIA to redeem themselves after making us wait for several months to get the technology that they promised a few months ago. So let's do it. But before we do, let me tell you that this video is actually brought to you by MSI's P65 Creator Notebook. This gorgeous looking notebook is sleek, it's powerful, has up to an i7-8750H processor, up to a GTX 1060 graphics card, has the Cooler Boost Trinity cooling system to actually cool it all down, has a thin bezel and an IPS level display, and close to 100 sRGB coverage. It has a one-touch access with Windows Hello and 8+ hour battery life, and my friends, if you haven't seen just yet, look at how gorgeous this thing is. I really appreciate what MSI did here, giving us a very aesthetically pleasing notebook that you could take anywhere, but is also a gaming notebook. That was basically everything I've been crying for from them for a while. So if you guys are interested, check out how to buy the P65 Creator down at the link in the video description. And with that being said, let's jump on into the benchmarking, sort of live testing of what's going on with DLSS and everything that's happening here. So I've played a little bit of Final Fantasy. Did I exit out of the options and then it did this to me? Gosh dang, okay. Well, I've put about 10 hours into this game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I beat it on PlayStation, wanted to try it on PC, so that's why we have it. I actually bought it before I knew anything about ray tracing and all that kind of stuff. But we have the RTX 2080 Ti Gaming X Trio from MSI right here on our MSI Z390 Guide-like with a 9900K and the Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB RAM, getting ready to test DLSS. So in order to enable DLSS in the first place, you have to make sure that your display is running at 4K. And this is because how DLSS works. So you have to have it at 3840 by 2160. And what DLSS is actually doing is it's upscaling a 1440p resolution to 4K, at least with Final Fantasy 15. It's not supposed to do that all the time, but that's how they've implemented it here. So when you're playing at 4K, you're actually playing at 1440p. But in case you guys don't have a 1440p monitor, let me give you a little trick to get this working. So you just go to your NVIDIA control panel. So you go to Manage 3D Settings, and then you just scroll down to where it says DSR Factors. And then depending on what type of monitor you have, you can enable different resolutions. And if you have a 1080p monitor, you're gonna do 4 times native resolution. If you have a 1440p monitor, like we have here, a 2.25 native resolution is what you're gonna wanna enable there. And then you technically have a 4K display. And it's been shown quite often that the performance loss on this is basically non-existent. Everything still runs as if the graphics card is outputting a 4K display. And so we have that going on right now. So we have 4K here. Now it's time to go to the graphics, and DLSS is technically a type of anti-aliasing, except for it's a little bit different. It actually is using machine learning to create pixels. Instead of anti-aliasing, which smooths pixels out, DLSS is actually rendering them in a completely different method. So you see here we have FXAA, TAA, and DLSS. NVIDIA has completely compared TAA to DLSS, and based on just my brief testing before we started this video, that's pretty much the case. So we currently have DLSS on. Let's turn it off, and I'll show you that the FPS right now has already gone down. So while we're just standing here next to the Regalia, we're running at roughly 60 FPS, paying $1,300 for a graphics card and only getting 60 FPS. Not necessarily what people want to do. We go to graphics, then we turn it on. This is the thing that I wanted to know. Does DLSS actually allow you to just get better frame rate than the normal game? And the answer in this case is yes. You see, we've already spiked up to 60, 70 FPS. We are above 60 basically. So we've already gained FPS. That's because the game has down-resed it to 1440p and then sent it out as DLSS. So it's not exactly 4K that we're getting here, but visually speaking, there's very little difference. I'm gonna point out the things that I see in just a bit. So if we turn off DLSS and then we go to, we switch it to actually 1440p, which is the native resolution of the game, you can see that we're almost approaching 100 FPS here. So between 90 and 100 FPS is what you get at 1440p with no anti-aliasing. If we turn anti-aliasing on, we put on TAAA, then we're still above 90. So DLSS at 4K with the way they've implemented in Final Fantasy 15 is better than 4K and no anti-aliasing, but it is not better than 1440p and no anti-aliasing. So in effect, you're still going to take some sort of performance hit, but as I just showed you guys, when you go from no anti-aliasing at 1440p to TAA at 1440p, it's negligible performance loss, especially since it's not even over 144 FPS. And it doesn't, like, it makes the image look better without sacrificing too much. That's neither here nor there. That's something else that I'm talking about right now. So let's get into actually looking at the comparisons of DLSS. So this is currently TAAA. You can see there's a lot of smoothness in Noctis's hair. You can see that everything looks quite good. 4K, this is visually pretty appealing. I like how this looks right now. So if we just go ahead, quickly enable DLSS, which again drops the resolution, but then renders new pixels based on machine learning and uses the tensor cores on the graphics card, I can't really tell the difference. Actually, his hair looks better to me. That doesn't mean that there is no difference between the two. We get higher frame rate, which is great. But, so in the distance right here, there are fences, and they're flickering, which is not nice. And there's some flickering that's happening here, like in the car as well. Like there's flickering of pixels that are occurring, which isn't pleasant, but at the same time, the only one that's super noticeable for me is what's going on with that fence outside there. But when I turn around, I'm not seeing any super prominent flickering. Like even these power lines that are right up here, they're not flickering at all. I would expect anything that has a line, especially since I've watched a few other videos on DLSS, that they're supposed to be flickering with everything, and I don't see much going on with those lines. When I run towards them, a little bit, but it's not, there's nothing game breaking about this. This looks really good. Like I'm impressed with how this looks right now, and it's running 4K over 60 FPS. And when I drop it down to 1440p, I can see that there's a difference in resolution. You can especially see it in the character. So yeah, especially in the hair of the characters, there's not as much definition. And I mean, so DLSS isn't even on right now, and there's flickering that's happening over here on this little grate that's going on this side. So DLSS isn't actually introducing flickering that isn't already there to some extent in the game. And I'm getting the same strobing issue that I had on the power lines as I did with DLSS at 1440p. That is bad. I just switched it to 4K and the PC shut down. Oh, this is the best part of live testing. Like, I could think that maybe it's some sort of overheating protection, but I don't think anything was getting that hot. Like, I was watching the temperatures, everything was fine. I mean, at this point, as I wait for everything to reset, my favorite thing is that you get faster frame rate with very little quality difference. There is some of that strobing and flashing that's happening on some different places, but like overall, 1440p with TAA looks worse than 4K with DLSS, even though it's 1440p upscaled. And that's a huge win for me. The only issue then is that you have to take a performance hit. So 1440p with TAA actually runs about 20 to 30 FPS more than 4K with deep learning super sampling. It's a trade-off, but dang, it looks better. And this is even a 1440p monitor. So we're not doing this at a 4K resolution. This is a 1440p, 144 Hertz FreeSync monitor from MSI with RGB, and it just looks better at 1440p. So I would honestly take that 30 FPS performance hit, because I haven't really seen it go down below 60 at 4K with deep learning super sampling, and I would just leave deep learning super sampling on with 4K. That's currently where I'm at with this. But let's go ahead and go to a few different areas and see if there's anything else that we can obviously notice with what's happening. All right, don't shut down on me again, system. 4K. Great. And then DLSS. That looks really good. His hair is fantastic. And again, I think one of the things I didn't mention, but I did show, is that this is at max settings. This is everything maxed out, including all of the GameWorks options from NVIDIA. We have, oh wait, no, shadow libs are turned off. That's probably gonna crush the performance. Still over 60. Okay, I'll take that. All right, let's go somewhere else. We'll take the regalia and go to a different joint. Yeah, this scene doesn't really show that much flickering. Okay, I'll take it.
I'm not gonna lie, it looks good.
It does. I agree. What? This is supposed to be, no. I wanted to do to fast travel. I mean, I guess this works. I chose a place that has no fast travel. Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to Lestal. Bunch of people and everything. We'll see what the performance is like there. That car looks dang good. Everything about this just works.
Everything just works.
All right, we're starting a benchmark. We're gonna see what the 1%, 0.1% and everything is. Currently, it's not looking too good on the 0.1%. It's had a few hiccups. Let's restart that. Everything looks pretty good. It's averaging under 60 at this point, but I can't imagine what it would be averaging if anti-aliasing was turned off. Oh no, no, I activated it. No. I activated a quest. Oh my gosh. The people look pretty good. Obviously, we're not doing a technical breakdown. We're just kind of looking like how you would play the game. And so far, I am happy. Yeah, I'm not really noticing any flickering happening. Like honestly, it just looks the best that I've seen Final Fantasy kind of look. And almost over 60. It's averaging 59 right now in this scene right here. It's averaging right around 60. Its 1% is 30. And its 0.1% right now is 2, which is not great. But I think there was an accidental hiccup that happened there, the system. Oh, like that. Like that. I don't know what's going on. That's not happening regularly. Obviously, that's game breaking, but I think that'll happen with or without DLSS. I don't know. I just have terrible time with video games. They like to crap out at me like that. Everything in the distance looks pretty solid too. Like all of those trees are rendered pretty decently. The mountains in the background, not a whole lot of, that car, ooh, that car. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see that. That car has like a streak going on behind it. But again, if I wasn't looking for this kind of nitpicky stuff, I really probably wouldn't be focusing on that at all. Switch out for TAA. Wow, okay, well, apparently that's something that actually happens. When you swap from TAA and DLSS and 1440p to 4K, the PC crashes? There has to be something wrong somewhere with power delivery, maybe? That would be my only guess. I don't think that's a problem with the game or the system. Or maybe it is the fact that it can't switch over from the tensor cores that easily. Like, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, it could be that that's an actual issue if you're swapping back and forth, which, granted, mostly nobody's going to. Like, you're gonna choose one and that's gonna be basically where you go. That's how people play video games. Temperatures are just fine. It was like right around 75 degrees Celsius. This is intriguing now. I thought this was gonna be a smooth video, but now I have to investigate whether or not changing the settings actually murders things. Ooh, his hair looks gorgeous. I'm gonna guess DLSS is on. It is! I can tell the difference. That's actually kind of cool. I appreciate that. I can tell the difference. His hair is just riveting. I love that. Awesome. Okay, well, let's see if we can get this PC to crash again. I'm gonna let it run for a while and then switch and see what happens. Maybe once the tensor cores get warmed up, they're just like, no! Refuse to help you anymore. Golden key. All right, let's try it now. Nope, all right. Well, I'm just gonna call it a fluke. Okay, well that's gonna wrap up our live testing of DLSS. So far I'm super impressed. We'll leave a couple of links in the video description for you guys to check out. Tech Power Up actually has a great webpage on it where you can use a slider to show the difference between TAA and DLSS, as well as between FXAA and anti-aliasing off and DLSS. So you can mouse back and forth between the two to see quality differences in a variety of different scenes. I highly recommend you guys check that one out. You can also check out Gamer Nexus's video for more deep dive and technical analysis of what's going on here. But I actually think this just works.
Everything just works.
Like the over 60 FPS average, I mean, it's not full DLSS just yet because it has to downscale first, but the quality improves over a normal 4K and then you get higher frames per second. that just works. Whether or not that makes it so that you should spend $1,200 on a graphics card, not necessarily sure. I think we're gonna have to hold out for Metro Exodus to come out and see ray tracing and DLSS implemented into the same game at the same time, because right now we just get bits and bobs of them being in two different places. Battlefield 5 has the ray tracing, Final Fantasy has the DLSS, and hopefully Metro Exodus can show us that ray tracing with DLSS is something beautiful. Obviously, we still want a price drop on these cards, but as of now, I can say DLSS just works for me. What do you guys think? I'll leave a poll right up there for you guys to check out. I'm gonna wrap the video up there. Don't forget that this video is brought to you by MSI's P65 Creator Notebook. Check it out at the link in the video description. I'm Brett with UFD Tech Channels. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the video. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content, and I'll see your smiling faces again in the next video. Love you too.